Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Twin Peaks The Return, Part 15. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Apologies, this one's a little bit later than usual. Connor fell asleep, so blame him.
I had a bad headache and didn't mean to fall asleep from it, but there we go.
Yeah, so he's why we're a bit late. But we're here now. I got all my notes and all the stuff. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. I actually did not check to see if there was any good or interesting stuff brought up in the comments from last episode to bring up, and there probably is. I apologise.
Shame on you.
I usually do that before we start. But obviously last week was a great episode. How's this one holding up next to it? How's 15 comparing? Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll work our way through it and we'll see what we can do. So, yes, let's get into it. So we start with, well, there's some tree shots first, but we basically start with Nadine marching down the road with her gold shovel.
Yes.
Over the shoulder, she's excited about what she's doing. She's ready to really shovel herself out of the shit.
She's on a mission.
She's on a mission. And you're like, okay, where's she going? This gold shovel business is going somewhere. What's it leading to? And she storms right into Ed's gas farm. And goes up to Ed, and he's like, oh, Diddy, what are you doing here? Where's your car? It's like, I walked. You walked? And we don't know how far he lives from the house, but his expression here would indicate that it's longer than what you
Yeah, because we have that, like, while she's walking, it kind of montages to show that, you know, like, how far she's walking. It's not just down the street.
And even just the road itself, it's like it's this big long road with nothing but forest next to it. It feels like it, you know, it feels like it goes on for a while. Yeah. So she's walked all this way, and the scene basically amounts to her saying, "You're like Ed, I was jealous. I could tell you love someone else, and I kept you sort of locked in. I kept you from being free."
Yeah. She says she was a selfish bitch.
That wasn't the exact phrasing.
No, it is. It says, I've been a selfish bitch.
Oh, did you say bitch? I don't remember
she
saying
did,
bitch.
yeah.
Fair enough. You noting down more dialogue than me. But yeah, so she says she's selfish, and she wants to give him his freedom. And Ed, and again, showing that Ed's a good guy, because he has stuck with her all this time. He put aside his love for Norma, stayed with Nadine, and that's kind of where we ended the original series on. And he hears like, look, are you sure what you're saying here? Because tomorrow you might regret everything you're saying right now. He's been very understanding of her feelings, that she might regret this tomorrow. And I actually really liked her response where, like, I walked here. I had a long time to rethink this and turn back, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm here. And I almost think there's a little bit of meta commentary here from Lynch saying, no, I thought about what we want to do with this new season, and I had time to reconsider. I had time to turn back 25 years, in fact, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But so she hugs him, and it's a nice, and it cuts actually straight to the diner, the double R, and this love music's kicking in, and like the car pulls up, and he comes, and he looks he's so excited. Like,
he is. He's basically bouncing his way in.
In fact, talking about his acting, actually, just to go back to the previous scene, after she walks away, she Nadine takes a shovel and she walks off. In fact, one of my favourite little moments was when he's like, "What are you doing? What's the shovel for?" Like, as for the shovel, I'm digging myself out of this shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. It almost sounds like when someone's like in therapy and they have to go make amends with everyone that they're trying to tell everyone they're sorry for whatever they did, that kind of thing. It kind of feels like she's taking the shoveling out of the shit is kind of that. She's going around and making sure she's on good terms with everyone.
I like that he's like, oh my god, you listening to Jacoby again? God damn it.
Yeah, and the smile on her face as she goes, I sure have. Did crack me up. But so the love music's playing, and or actually no, I was going to say at the end of the scene,
he's acting, yeah,
he's acting. When she walks away, he stands. It's like it hits him that he's finally free and he can actually go and do this. He can go and actually just say to like, Norma, we can do this now.
And he almost looks concerned for a moment, where he's like, should I do this?
Yeah, he's quivering a little bit. It's almost like, I don't think a tear quite forms, but it feels like one might. Or
yeah,
it's a good little moment. But love music's playing. He's coming in. He's jolly. He's positively skipping into the restaurant, and even his wave when he comes in, he's like waving up to the back where Norma is. He's like, yeah. Oh, she's not even sitting in our numbers chair. I can swoop in right now. It's a good time. and he's like, she's giving me my freedom. And of course, Walter walks on from behind.
You just see him coming in, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
God damn it!"
And you feel so bad for him. And she doesn't even say anything about what he just said. She said, "Oh, it's not a good time." So I mean, it can be taken multiple ways. And obviously, there's a little bit of them not tricking the audience, but playing a little kind of like bit with her, just playing a little with their hearts, because he's, as they're sitting down, Walter says, "Oh, did you get my flowers?" And she's like, "Yes." And it's implying there might be a couple thing going on here, that they might be in a relationship.
Right, and you can see Ed's hearing it. He sits down. He goes, Shelley comes over, he's like, "What do you want?" Like, a cup of coffee, and she walks away, and he goes, "And a cyanide tablet."
That line did make me laugh, and I still felt bad for him.
Yeah,
My heart was breaking for poor Ed. He
one of my notes is literally just heartbreak.
He's been waiting for 25. In fact, you know what? I mean, as much as Nadine's doing the right thing now, she kept him locked in a marriage he didn't really want to be in because he's a good guy and didn't want to do the wrong thing for 25 years.
It's a long time.
I mean, I think at one point he says something about spending the rest of their lives together, and I'm like, you just robbed him of 25 years. Like, how much does he have left, really? Like, in the grand scheme of things.
It's a fair point.
It's like, compare it to a prison sentence. Like, you've lost 25 years of your life. Like, you just, he's, but anyway. So again, we get back to some meta commentary because we're with Norma, we're with Walter, and she's basically exercising her right to sell or letting him buy her out of the chain of the franchises. With the exception of this singular diner that's still hers, he gets the rest of them, soon to be 7, as he points out. And he doesn't understand. It's like, this is going to be a great success. Like, why are you doing this? And she's like, oh, it's for family, and I want to take care of them. And again, I thought meta commentary was pretty simple. It's almost like Lynch is saying, yeah, I've not made any movies or TV shows in a long time because I didn't want to turn into what the current mainstream wanted. I didn't want to just make stuff. And even the word franchise, I mean, what are a lot of movies now? They're part of franchises. It's almost like I'm saying, no, I want to stay true to myself and just have this one thing that's mine and truly mine. So
I like this as well because what was like, but you said you didn't have any family. She's like, no, I do. I want to look after them. And I don't know if this was just the idea that Walter just doesn't listen to her, or if it's just more, like all these people are the family. All the people who come into the double R.
I actually, maybe I'm not sure if I still think this, but when she first said it, my instinct was to think that she means Shelley, Becky, and
right. I was thinking, all these people in the double R that are kind of like an adoptive family.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because it cuts back to Ed a couple of times during this, and every time it cuts back to him, the love music kicks in again. Then it goes back to them, it fades out, and then it cuts back to him, and the music comes back in, and we see, like, we don't actually even see Walter leaving the background of the shot. We just eventually see her hand come in his shoulder, and it's like, oh no, oh yes, the heart breaks over, and he just asks her to marry her, and it's this really sweet moment, and Shelley even witnesses it and is all happy as well, smiling, and maybe if Norma can finally get over this picking the wrong guy syndrome, because remember her ex and all that shenanigans, maybe Shelley can do the same thing eventually. Maybe Becky can do the same thing eventually.
It's breaking the cycle.
Breaking the cycle, yeah. So very sweet, and I was a little bit worried though in this scene, not for these characters. I thought, oh, this is really sweet, but if they're giving us this concentrated dose of sugar up front, I'm like, what's the rest of this episode going to be?
Yeah, I felt that way. I was like, this. Like, when it was like when we thought it was going to be heartbreak and stuff, it was like, yeah, this feels like what I expect.
Yeah, this feels like this is par for the course. I expect to be miserable. That's what Lynch does to me, in a very good way, but miserable all the same. But no, very sweet.
And you have that. Then it goes into that beautiful transitionary shot of just the clouds. You still got the love music playing.
Yeah.
But you've just got the clouds. It just goes on for a while, that shot.
Yeah. It's we keep returning to these trees and the clouds over Twin Peaks quite a lot this episode.
We do.
But here, then it cuts. It might fade to black first. I don't know if I remember that correctly, but it either cuts or fades to black and then goes into immediately this black and white footage of the power cables, and it's really stuttery and moving across, and it's this harsh stuttering, and I'm like, oh great.
I used the word scratchy this time as well.
Scratchy, yeah. And it's like, okay, right. Happiness out the way. Time for the darkness. It's basically what I thought. And then the next thing you see, and again, I don't know what it is, but Lynch knows how to shoot the point of view shot of a car on a nighttime road. Like it's just
does, doesn't he?
it's so ominous, and as it's cutting, it stays on it for a good long time as well, and then it eventually shows you Doppelkoop in the truck, and as it's cutting between them, the music starts to get a bit ominous. It actually starts to creep in, and of course, this is where things are about to get very interesting and mythology based. So there's a woodsman on the road, and Doppelkoop pulls over, and oh shit, it's the convenience store.
Yes.
The convenience store, and of course I'm like, wait, is he in like where they blew up the nuke, or is a convenience store something that moves? No, of course we have the answer to that by the end of the scene. But so he gets out. The woodsman leads him up the side stairs. But as they go up the stairs, because there's no actual thing above the convenience store, which is actually this really interesting little tidbit here. It's just the stairs go up to nothing. But as they go up the stairs, they flicker out of existence.
Do you know what I always thought was really interesting? Every other time this season where we've seen people flicker and vanish, which has been a good handful of times, they've just done it. Whereas here there was an actual electrical crackling noise when they vanished. Whereas we've not heard that before. Before it's always just been they just go.
I think this is the maybe not the epicenter of the Black Lodge. In fact, I think this is the
entrance,
or at least the final place he goes to here. I think that's the Dutchman's, because he remember he said that in the last, not in the last episode, but when he was interrogating Ray on the floor. And
do you think the specific place that he goes to the Dutchman's, or just this is the entranceway to the Dutchman's? Like the whole thing is that?
Oh, it is the Dutchman's. The Dutchman's is the entranceway to the lodge stuff.
Right.
Either way, it's outside of reality. It's definitely somewhere
absolutely.
else, because as soon as he goes in, it fades to this shot of the forest, and it's going through the trees, and then in a couple of minutes as well, when they're walking down this long hallway, it keeps fading in and out of these trees, like the camera flying through these trees, and it's almost
superimposed over the top of them.
And it's almost like showing you that in real space, this is where this is, but they're in a different dimension.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because you can, like, outside of the convenience store, like in the real world, you can see the forest and the trees behind it. So it kind of feels like, and when they're moving in that direction, it's like, they're going kind of deeper in.
Now, of course, it's relevant here that the wallpaper and stuff is the same wallpaper from the dream that Laura had in Fire Walk With Me. It's also relevant to say that was the wallpaper we got a small glimpse of when Gordon looked up at into the vortex, and he saw the woodsman on the stairs, and we see that exact spot actually. It's at the end of this hallway where we see these stairs going up, and again, the wall going up the stairs is blank, and it wasn't that same, in episode, was it 11 as well, but the wallpaper at the top, it's the same stairway. Let's not gloss over the fact that before they go through down that hallway up those stairs, he says he wants to see Philip Jeffries.
Yes.
And there's a woodsman sitting next to this mechanical. It almost looks like a TV with the screen taken out, like an old TV.
Yeah.
The old ones you'd actually put in the floor, kind of style, really old school, like the kind of ones that might have existed when the first nuclear bomb went off. But and he says, "Oh, I see Philip Jeffries," and he winds it up, and crackling, electricity, noises, all this kind of stuff.
And you get like these flashes, this almost vision.
Oh, I'm going to talk about the flashes. But the one final point I want to point out about the woodsman sitting there, though, is that's actually the same woodsman you see in Fire Walk With Me that was played by Jurgen Prochnow. He was sitting next to that same device.
Interesting.
In that one scene we saw them in, in the apartment, they called it, above the convenience store. Although I'm starting to think apartment's a bit of a loose term for
it's really underselling it, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about that flash, because my. So we see, I believe, for the first time in the season, the Jumping Man in this flash. And if you forget what the Jumping Man is, he is the character who we first seen in Fire Walk With Me, who wore a white mask with a long pointy nose, and he had a red suit on, if I remember correctly. Very creepy, very distinct visually, and this is the first time we see him here, which maybe it's like, okay, is he some sort of gatekeeper? Even someone like Doppelkoop, who has connections to the Lodge world and the Dutchman's.
It's almost like he's got to give them permission to pass. It's like a checking there who they say they are, almost.
But did you notice something? Now, I can't take credit for this, what I'm about to tell you, but did you notice anything else in that flash?
I didn't, I'll be honest, because it was going very quickly, and it was very dark and then bright for what you saw. Now,
funnily enough, I saw this bit of information before my second watch, and on the second watch I was kind of looking just to see if you could notice it as you were watching it. And you
in real speed.
And you can't quite, you notice there's something else there, which is why someone's went and paused it and went frame by frame to catch it.
Yeah.
So you can notice something's flashing in there, but you can't quite make
Right,
it
that's
out.
what I'm saying, because it's dark and there's just flashes. I wasn't really sure what some of those.
At one point over the face, the white mask face of the jumpy man, the face of Sarah Palmer is like imposed over it.
Well, that's interesting.
That's very interesting, because we were thinking either Babylon's inside her or whatever the cockroach thing grew up to be, and makes me think. But is that also, does that relate to the Jumpy Man? Is it the Jumpy Man?
Yeah.
Because the thing inside Sarah Palmer did remove a mask.
Yes.
So if it's the Jumpy Man or someone like the Jumpy Man inside her, then and they also wear a mask, that would maybe explain why.
That's a fair point. I hadn't considered that.
But interesting, of course, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Face of Sarah Palmer on the Jumpy Man. So yeah, so like I say, I go down this long hall. It fades between that and shots of the woods. Same stairs as before. And we see this motel. And again, something else I saw online actually is this motel is apparently the same motel, also from Fire Walk With Me. Do you remember? It's where Leland Palmer's with. Like, he almost like runs into Laura because he's got two prostitutes in the room, and he sees one of them's Laura.
Yeah.
It's that same motel. They seem to have used.
I thought it was related to just the way, where he goes up the stairs and out the door, and it looks like he's just going through another doorway. Because it doesn't look like a door to outside. And then he's in this courtyard.
Very surreal, very dreamlike. That's a big thing in dreams. At least, I think most people experience this. That you often go through a door and it'll take you to somewhere that's not connected to what you were previously in.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting because, I don't know if... This is the thing specifically that I think is the Dutchman's. I don't think the rooms that he went through was the Dutchman. I think this place that he goes through at the end, like when he goes to this motel, essentially.
Right, okay.
I think that's the Dutchman.
And this is the entranceway to the Dutchman's, so to speak.
Yeah, arguably I think it's the entranceway to a lot of things. I wonder, like, when he winds the TV thing up, like, does that, like, pick where that door's going to go?
Could be, or does he go, or is there other doors that he can go through? Because we don't really see much up the stairs because of the way the shot's hiding it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it could go further down. There could be other doors to other places.
Yeah, a lot of speculation. There's nothing we can really sort of nail down. So he walks up to a door. There's the odd woodsman kicking around, but of course, when he gets close to the door, a woman kind of comes up, and in the the lodge speak voice sound
lodge
effect,
speak is actually how I've wrote in my notes. That's how I refer to it.
Says she'll open the door for him.
Yeah, so she'll unlock the door for him, which I thought was interesting.
That's fair. That's more specific. That's good.
Yeah, because obviously she pulls out the key and unlocks it.
She unlocks the door for him. And
also, point out this is room number 8.
Room number 8, which does actually come up later in the episode. That number,
right? Which is why I pointed out.
So obviously we're like, okay, we've never seen a female woodsman or woodswoman, I suppose. But she's not. She wasn't, charcoal. She wasn't.
She
burned
didn't look like one of them, no.
Like the others, no. So she's something else, and we've not really seen her before. At least I don't think we have.
Interesting. I don't think we've seen any of the woodsmen really speak much. Do they have the backwards speak? Have we seen them speak at all?
Oh yeah, episode 8.
Yeah, but was it backwards speak?
Oh no, because that was in the real world, so he was speaking normally. Yeah.
So do they do backwards speak at all, or is it just something that they do while they're there? Like in the other places?
I can't remember, but see when the giant appeared in the real world to Cooper, did he have the backwards speak or did he have regular speak? I think he had regular, but my memory might be playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
Which would imply that they only have that speak when they're inside the lodge worlds, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that one woodsman, though, in episode 8, I don't think we have heard them speak.
Yeah, not much at all.
But yeah, so he goes in. And obviously, I'm like, who's this woman? This is a new entity. And, we're quite late in the game now. I'm like, we're interested in new entities. Who is this new entity? But it goes inside the room. So he's looking at the wall, and it kind of fades away. Again, it's like two realities are kind of flickering between them. It's like it's revealing a hidden place. Yeah. And it reveals, at first, what I thought looked a lot like those bell-shaped things in the White Lodge.
Yeah, I could see it.
Right? But it's got a spout. That was
it has,
key
absolutely.
difference.
And there's smoke coming out of it.
Yeah, smoke, steam, whatever, depending on what's in it. And it looks like behind where the steam's coming out, there's a moon. It had like a moon look to it. It was like a white circle.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. It almost looked like that was part of the machine, like it was capturing the smoke, because the smoke never really seemed to leave that circle.
Maybe. I thought it looked like a moon, but I mean, that's fair. So, new page. So, the steam's leaving this machine, this contraption, and obviously at this point I'm thinking, right, okay, well, right. Because obviously, that was the other thing I've not really pointed out, is that, so he says he's there to see Philip Jeffries, and so this long walk happens down the hall and up the stairs and through this and this, and also very slow paced, very methodical like Lynch is, and the whole time I'm thinking, have they actually got David Bowie at the end of this, the end of this scene? Like, are we building to a cameo that they shot before he died? And I'm like, nah, they can't be. Now, of course, the fact that we get this contraption and we get a voice who is someone else doing the voice that he used in Firewalk with Me, which is fair enough.
It's a good voice impression.
It's funny that the arm has become like this tree thing, and then Jeffries has become this big tea kettle looking thing. I can't wait for, like, I don't know, who else is missing, who that we can bring back as an object of some kind.
Yeah. Who? Briggs.
Briggs, yeah. Briggs will be a giant, like, Navy medal or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so obviously this gets a very interesting conversation. He questions if he's the one trying to kill him. And Jeffries does say that he called Ray, but he never actually says that he...
He actually almost sounds confused, because Cooper asks him, why did you send Ray to kill me? And he says, what? I called Ray.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he did send him to kill him. It sounds like, yeah, I was in touch with him, but...
Yeah, and then of course he follows it up with, did you call me? I think he said 5 days ago.
Which would have been episode 2, so that shows you how much time has passed in Doppelkoop's...
Yeah.
And,
in Doppelkoop's.
In Doppelkoop's story, not the whole thing, just in Doppelkoop's
we'll get to
story.
that.
Yeah, there's more on the timey-wimey nonsense later. Yeah, he responds to that with, I don't have your number. Which, interesting that this being who seems to now be like celestial or something like that doesn't have his number. So this is where it's interesting. So Jeffries asked Doppelkoop, "You are Cooper," and what I loved about this moment is that the camera, like, it's all wide at this point, and then it goes into a close up of Doppelkoop, and he doesn't say anything to respond to it. He just kind of goes into his next question after a few seconds, but there's a good 5 seconds of silence of him just kind of almost with his poker face on. It was more intentional. Like, I mean, Jeffries is intentionally kind of cryptic. Like, everything he says is cryptic as hell.
It is.
Whereas Doppelkoop isn't. It's just that one thing he decides that he doesn't answer. He's not got time to, like, mess around with stupid questions. It's kind of how I read it. But of course he says, he asks about Judy. Well, he says that, I guess Jeffries just says, I spoke to you once before, and that's when we get the
little... He says, we used to talk.
Yeah. But we get that little flashback of Firewalk with Me, and it specifically shows us the line about Judy. We're not going to talk about Judy. So Doppelkoop asks about Judy.
That was how he confirms that he's Cooper, though, because he goes, 1989 FBI headquarters. You said you'd met Judy, and Jeffries replies, it goes, so you are Cooper.
Yeah.
It's like it's passing a test.
It's kind of like passing a test. Yeah.
It's like how, you couldn't know that unless you were Cooper.
But he asked him about Judy. He wants to speak to Judy, and Jeffries gives him a number, right? He sort of spouts out in the steam. There's like numbers appear. He also says, "You've already met Judy."
Yeah, there was a few things there, because he was like, does Cooper's asking, why do you want to talk to Judy? Has she done something to me? Or and she says, why don't you ask her yourself? He says, what I write down for you is when the numbers appear. So it's like, this is maybe coordinates.
It could be your coordinates.
Because I only got 5 numbers. I missed so I'm not sure.
I don't think they were intentionally shown as all the numbers, though. I feel like there's more.
Because we saw the first few, and then it kind of cut away, and we just saw Cooper writing it down.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think, because I took it, because we were talking about a phone number before, I took it as phone number at first, but it could be coordinates. That makes a lot of sense given what's been on this season with all these locations. It makes a lot of sense as coordinates, especially since a lot of like talking to lodge related people, it involves going to places like this and like getting
actually
access.
think it's interesting to use coordinates for the lodge. The idea that it moves around, it doesn't have these physical tethers, so it uses coordinates to go. That is a specific place.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's always at that specific place.
No, of course not. But I'm just saying, like it can point with certainty. If they say, "Oh, go to the convenience store," then obviously it's like, well, okay, that could be anywhere. But here's coordinates. Go there. It's very specific.
The reason why I say like things moving around, like I've got a feeling it might be related to like where Earth is at any given point, where other planets are. If there's a character later on who specifically points out they can see Mars in the sky, and it's certainly not the first time I've had this kind of brought into it. We've heard, back in the original series, whenever Briggs was talking about things being in alignment, I think, when the Lodge was going to open, it was when like Jupiter and Saturn were aligned and things like that. So we've heard these ideas before. So I do think a lot of the placements of these things might change based on, or might not change, but they'll just be, maybe they always go back to the same spots, but they're only at certain, like say the entrance to a lodge is like at 10 places, and it'll cycle through those 10, depending on what's aligned where, and that kind of idea.
I can see it.
So I could see that being a thing. But yeah, you've already met Judy. At which point Doppelkoop questions that. He's like, "What? Who's Judy?"
Yeah, he gets quite agitated because he goes, "Oh, what do you mean?" And then the phone starts ringing. He's like, "Who is Judy?" And he kind of repeats that a couple of times.
Yeah, and then the phone, of course, is to kick him out. So the phone's kind of like, this conversation's done, and it makes me. It's interesting, I think, because Doppelkoop is finally not completely in the know about something. Like, there's something that's mysterious to him now. Because up until now, he's been very on top of everything that he's doing. Like, he seems to know,
he's
what's
been in
happening.
Control, yeah.
Yeah, he knows that he was meant to go back into the lodge at the start of the show, start of the season, and he avoided it. He's known a lot of stuff. He knows a lot about all these things that are going on. But even he doesn't know about Judy. He doesn't understand who Judy is. Or if he has met her, where he met her. What does it mean? Which almost makes me think that, I mean, obviously Philip Jeffries has ascended. It's almost like, I imagine whatever's happened to Philip Jeffries here is kind of what happened to Major Briggs.
Yeah.
Maybe not the exact thing where he's become this device, but the idea that he is now a spirit of the lodge and he's in there outside of time.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is it he, when he says you've already met her, is he just kind of mixing up time? Or alternatively, if he does think this is, regular Cooper, because he kind of had that confirmation when he passed the test, does he know Cooper was in the lodge? And he's like, "Oh, you met her in the lodge," but this Doppelcooper who was out for that 25 years didn't.
Are you going back to that theory that Nado is Judy?
Yeah.
Maybe. It could mean that. It could be someone that Cooper met before. He even went to Twin Peaks. It could be someone that Doppelkoop has met. Like, maybe...
It could be that he's just not remembering it. I mean, we've seen this multiple times, people not remembering things until they need to.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not taking it as that, though. I'm taking it as he's met Judy, he just didn't know it was Judy.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the point here, because I feel like this is a very intentional thing for the audience, where it's like, okay, because I am convinced that we as the audience have also met Judy.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I feel like it's almost dead certain. I feel like, especially this late in game, to introduce that element, to say, Judy's someone we already know. Part of me thinks that, again, bringing timey-wimey things into it, I feel like whatever Judy is some either a person who's going to help stop Bob, or someone who is like a weapon against Bob.
Okay.
Because just this idea that Jeffries, stormed into the FBI office 25 years ago and like made a point of bringing it up, and obviously seen that he like disappeared. It was like he was like flickering out of time himself, like during that time. I feel like she's important. I mean, she's important in some way, like, but I think that's why. I think it's someone who's meant to help Cooper, the real Cooper.
Interesting.
But I don't know. I'm mostly getting this just on like a feeling more than anything else, based on how they've presented it.
Yeah, there's not a lot to go with, is there?
Yeah. So that's where I'm on that.
Yeah. So then obviously he picks up the phone and he's outside.
Yeah, he's outside at the payphone. Is where he appears, and obviously a bit of a flicker, a bit of electrical flicker and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite quick compared to normal.
But again, it's this idea of going through power lines and things like that, and all these stuff. And of course, phone lines themselves have some power going through them, so it's the same idea. But of course, this is where things get really interesting, because Richard is standing there with a gun.
Yep.
He's pointing at a Doppelkoop. He brings up some interesting facts. He's like, I know who you are. You're in the FBI. And of course, I'm thinking, why does it? We know why he knows this, probably. And it gets confirmed. This is the first real. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of hints, but this is the first absolute 100% confirmation, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that his mother is Audrey, because he says it.
Yeah, we've kind of just been assuming and taking it as granted. We've not really been questioning it for a long time now.
Yeah, but it was exciting all the same, because as soon as he said that he's seen his picture, you're the FBI, I'm like, because Audrey's got a picture of him, probably from when he was in Twin Peaks. Oh yeah, of course she does. So very exciting, and it's like, okay, is he hunting him down because maybe he knows what Doppelkoop did to her, and he wanted to come hunt down Doppelkoop.
Maybe. See, I wasn't reading that. I was more reading it as in he was trying to protect the gang that he's part of, like the idea that he's like, no, this guy's FBI, he thinks he's undercover, so he's like taking him out.
Oh, really? I don't know. I think he knows it's his father, and he's came looking for him.
All right.
That's why he specifically mentions his mother. He makes a point of bringing like that information into it.
No, that's fair.
So I think it's personal. I think he wants to find out. I mean, even if it's not his father, and I think it is though. But I think that's why he wants to find him. I think that's why.
Okay, that makes sense.
So Doppelkoop basically whips the shit out of him.
I love how he just spits on the floor, and then obviously Richard turns around and like watches it. It's like, what are you doing? And then as he turns his head, it's like bang, straight in, gun's gone. Yeah,
he just puts him down. Very, very quick, very efficient. And it's like, no, you little shit, you'll learn from the best. And he tells him in the truck, so it's not like he even wants rid of him or he's going to kill him. He's like, no, get in the truck.
He says, we'll talk. Yeah.
He actually wants to have the conversation, which again maybe implies that he knows that it's his son, which, I mean, I don't imagine he's going to be a good father, but like at least he wants to impart the knowledge to him.
Yeah.
So there we go. And now, of course, here's where things get a little bit meaty in terms of our timeline shenanigans.
Oh, aye, this is interesting.
So Doppelkoop pulls out his phone and texts a number with the phrase Las Vegas ? And of course, we saw Diane receive that text about 3 or 4 episodes ago. Yeah, something like that. And I think for me, I mean, out of order is another thing, although some things do seem to be out of order, but certainly this proves all the different sort of plot threads are all moving at different speeds. They're all
unequivocally.
Yeah.
This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is outright confirmation.
Oh, it's confirmation, yeah.
It doesn't answer some of the questions, like that the Cooper stuff being out of order, the Dougie Cooper stuff being out of order.
Yeah, it doesn't prove everything's out of order, although a couple of things feel like they are. But this proves unequivocally that, like, as soon as
at the very least, this is happening at a separate pace to the Gordon and Diane stuff.
Now it wasn't necessarily at the start though, because he actually crossed over with some of that stuff to set up that plot. Like he went and killed the wife.
Right. But that doesn't mean right now they're at different points.
Yeah,
like undeniably.
So, and honestly, I don't think it's that confusing. Like I think people might make a bigger deal out of this. I think this is just a simple case of no. This scene's here to show you this took place at the same time as that, which is actually this reinforces the idea that the guy who almost run over that randomer was Doppelkoop.
Yeah,
because we're showing here that this is actually further back in the timeline.
Right.
So he probably is in Twin Peaks, in present day Twin Peaks time.
And it sets up the idea that okay, so if this is in that part of the timeline, the Twin Peaks stuff doesn't necessarily need to be happening at the same time as the FBI stuff.
Absolutely,
these can all be like that's what this is doing. It's just going. It's just making it clear that, hey, this isn't all happening at once, even though they've crossed over at relevant points.
Yeah, there could easily be time jumps in some of them and not others. Because, I mean, he even says here that it's only been 5 days since that call, but certainly some of the other stuff feels like it's taking place over a slightly longer period of time.
Right, whereas the Twin Peaks, a lot of that stuff, has been in 2 days from when they found, all the stuff from Briggs to like, last episode was 2 days, and it explains things like, Cooper, Dougie, the key, the Great Northern Key, being posted back.
Oh, we said that. Yeah, we said that. Yeah. We said that as soon as these questions came up, that the key probably took a week to get there. So clearly,
right. But this just confirms that. Yeah, okay, this is just how it is.
Yeah, Yeah, it's actually not that complicated. It's just
It's not.
because it was breadcrumbed a little bit up until now. People were sort of asking questions, but now that it's been it's okay, it's just confirmed.
Yeah.
It's just not reliable to just assume that things are taking place at the same time. So just get
Right.
that out your head and you're fine.
Still okay to question the out of order stuff though.
Sure, sure. If that even ever comes up, I don't know if it will.
If it does, yeah.
I don't know if it will. I think we'll just have to accept maybe that this is how things are. But anyway, so that's pretty much the end of that scene. The drive off, except of course that the convenience store basically TARDISes out of the scene.
It does. It proper flashes light, lots of smoke.
Lots of smoke, but it's that stuttering back and forth smoke that we saw in episode 8.
Yeah.
So again, it's it's timey-wimey and Twin Peaks style of showing that things are out of sync and like sort of stuttering out of existence. And of course, there's just the forest behind it, left on its own. So that's how we end that scene. So then we have a scene in the woods with Shitty Steve and his mistress, we'll call her. Mistress implies that he's of some sort of standing. You know, like I expect a rich man to have a mistress, not some little douchebag.
Piece on the side.
So it feels a bit demeaning, but alright.
It does, but it feels like that's what he'd call it.
Well, I mean, this man is, after all, proud that he's a high school graduate. Yeah, so there's a man walking his dog, who, by the way, is Mark Frost, if you're not familiar with what he looks like. So
I wasn't.
He got a little cameo. So, he basically wants to kill himself, by the sounds of it. That's what it sounds like pretty early on. He wants to, and he asks if she's coming with, and this is where I thought it got a little bit interesting in terms of the dialogue, because the way he was phrasing it, it was like he was expecting to go somewhere, and I don't just mean in the broad sense of people believing in a heaven or whatever. It felt like he deep down knows that there's some lodge or something that he might go to. Maybe not consciously, because he says, "Are you coming with me?" And at one point he says something like, "When I'm there, I'll I'll wait for you, I'll look down for you," or something like that.
Yeah.
It's all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's like, I'm a high school graduate. Now, he also says a couple other things which are really interesting. Oh, actually, before we even get to that, he said, "There is no why, I did do it." To which she responds, "No, she did it."
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Is this taking place after something we'll see with Becky later on? Or is this something that's happened off camera that we'll maybe discover later?
Right, because I was trying to think, it's like, what could either of them have done? What could it be that people can have that debate, assuming she is Becky?
Yeah, and if it's no, she did it. Like, did he kill Becky? Like, did Becky fly off the rails and attack him, and he killed her, and that's why that's why the girlfriend here's saying no, she did it. Like, it's her fault.
Right.
That could be. Well, I guess maybe that boring explanation, but that's just the first thing that kind of popped in my head. If it's something we've not seen yet. So
I think it'll be very interesting if we do see Steve again. Sorry, I'm confusing the two dicks.
Assholes, yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting if we do see him again, and it'll be like, okay, are things out of order?
Yeah. We've got a precedent for it now, so it wouldn't surprise. Certainly, there's more to this than we know right now. Like,
yeah,
absolutely is. But here's some other things he says. He starts talking about what it's going to be like. He says, "Well, will I be with the rhinoceros, the lightning in the bottle, or will I be completely like turquoise?"
Yeah.
That
strange phrase.
That, I mean, rhinoceros implies power. Like, will he be with something powerful? Lightning in the bottle. I mean,
I think that plays the most into.
Yeah,
the electricity,
the static, static, the scratching, all the electric stuff.
It's the idea of lightning is powerful, and it's like trapping power.
Or will I be completely like turquoise? I don't even know what to read.
I mean, if lightning is like like lightning in the bottle is like, oh, will I be like trapped power? Rhinoceros is maybe more free, but turquoise, I don't know. It's very neutral.
Maybe turquoise just means nothing. Like, rhinoceros is powerful and free. Trapped in the bottle or lightning in the bottle is trapped and you can't get out.
Yeah.
But turquoise is just, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe to go against what I said, maybe it is just the general ramblings of someone who's trying to question what's after death.
Maybe it is.
Because it
Yeah.
could be. I mean, it's kind of interesting that someone who's this hopped up is like speaking in like a weird kind of almost poetry-like language that we have to interpret, but you know,
Yep.
which is what maybe why there's credence to it. Oh, it's something more than that. He's got some sort of idea of something.
It's just strange because he's always seemed very sure of himself. He's always been a dick. He's always been very sure of himself. This is the first time we've really seen him questioning anything.
So, music starts to come in. It gets very ominous. We see the dog walker eventually comes into the shot. The girl freaks out, hides behind the tree, and obviously it plays for some suspense here. Where we don't really know if he shot the guy or if he shot himself because we just hear the gunshot, and it cuts to these really ominous shots of the trees and the music. And again, the scene started with aerial shots of the trees. A lot of that this
It's a
episode.
big theme this episode. I mean, we've seen it on and off throughout the season, but this episode more than any.
Yeah, it really feels like the show really likes to play with this idea that there's something out there in the woods, something deep
does.
in there that you can't quite see, which is just good creepy storytelling if nothing else, and symbolism. So yeah, it's just with trees. Dogwalker it tells Carl. He ends up at the trailer park and he points out where he lives from. Again, the music is very ominous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, he points at where he lived. It was kind of like, he goes, oh, the kid just killed himself. The one that lived there.
And of course, like this could simply be just another case of showing how bad things are in Twin Peaks, how dark things are. Like when Carl looks over at the trailer, he looks kind of melancholic.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, oh, another one's gone. Like, just another sad story to add onto the pile.
Right. I am really intrigued as to why he killed himself, though, because, like I said, he's always seemed so sure of himself, and he's been very arrogant. And this seemed very whatever has happened has clearly affected him quite profoundly.
To crack a dark joke, he just realised what type of person he was and looked in the mirror and said, "You know what? Yep, that's the course of action."
Seriously, maybe it was something like that. Whatever happened, whatever
Because he is awful. He abuses his wife rather. He forces her to take drugs with him. He spends all of her mother's money. Like he is like a parasite. He is an actual parasite.
But this thing, whatever it is he's done, and the girl saying no, she did it. Like whatever it is he's done, maybe this was too far. It's actually affected him this time.
Yeah. And was it Becky, or was this something that happened with an unknown person that we might either see or maybe see the effects of later on?
Right, and it just makes me go, what did he do that was so bad that made him go, no, I've crossed a line?
And it's funny because the last time we seen him, it was when Becky went over to his house to try and shoot him, and we had that ominous shot of like it was like his past was catching up to him, like it came down the stairs and ended on him, like so, So then we cut to the Roadhouse. We had some ZZ Top, not the actual band. ZZ Top.
I was really disappointed. When he started introducing, I was like, is this happening?
I'm assuming since you thought it was a possibility, are they all still alive?
I think they are.
Just because it's an old band, I just didn't know if they were.
I know, like, maybe one of them died, but I think that was like one of the the earlier members that got replaced.
But of course, Sharp Dressed Man is playing, which is the perfect intro for the always cool James to make his entrance into the scene. He comes sauntering in with his buddy Freddie, who's got his green glove on, and we're getting to the best part of the episode here.
Oh, absolutely.
And Renee's sitting there with her and her husband with another couple, and James, as he's walking up, it's like a horror movie where I'm like, no, what are you doing, James? Don't. I'm like, don't try and flirt with her when her husband's sitting there. Are you mad? And
I think he's a little bit simple-minded these days.
And he just awkwardly sort of stands there, and he's almost too far away as well, and just kind of like really feebly and quietly goes, "Hey, Renee," and like the husband turns around and is like, "You get a death wish?" And I'm like, "Of course that happened." I mean, clearly he knows you've got a thing for it. He's already suspecting there's something going on, and he gets up and immediately just starts beating the shit out of him. Well, actually, no, sorry. Before he beats the shit out of him, there's a few more lines from James that prompts the shit beating. He goes, "Oh, I was just trying to be polite. I mean, I like her." Don't say that sentence, even if you mean it in an innocent way. You know how that sounds to the husband. Don't say that.
James deserved what he got here. He brought it on himself.
I don't know if he deserved to be, punched and kicked while he's on the ground.
All right, but
it goes a bit far.
He did bring it on himself, didn't he?
He really should have been wiser. But of course, it did set the stage for Freddy to use his, dare I say, iron fist.
Oh, I've just put Iron Fist, as my notes for this.
I don't think I was expecting the shotgun sound effect when he used it.
It was glorious.
It did this thing where the music kind of cut out and the frame kind of froze as his punch or his fist hit the face. Although I was kind of thinking, right, okay, this is the power of a pile driver, an enormous pile driver at that. I'm like, punch him in the shoulder. Don't punch him in the face. You're going to kill the poor guys. And sure enough, like the husband's lying there after, he's like having a seizure and like he's foaming and all the rest of it. And James is like trying to flirt with the wife. He's like, I'm sorry, Renee, I didn't mean for this to happen. But if he dies, can we go out? He didn't say that, but you know.
But he might as well have done. He was thinking it.
Yeah. Until of course he noticed how dying he looked. And he went, oh wait, his eyes don't look right. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but man, those punches were so satisfying. And obviously, we're working through Defenders right now.
Mm-hmm.
These two punches were better than any punch that Iron Fist has thrown in that show.
Absolutely. I laughed after the first one because I wasn't expecting it, and then when the second one happened, I just cheered. I was like, yeah,
that's it.
That's great.
It's like, what's happening? And then it's like, I love this. This is fantastic.
And this is, of course, not the last time we're going to see it because he has a purpose, and his purpose was not to just, punch out
some random dudes in a bar.
Yeah. Unless it's like, oh, he had to protect James because James has got an important thing. No, he doesn't. Right? So he's got a purpose, right? Possibly to punch his way out of a jail cell, which he ends up in. Although I don't want to skip ahead, there's a couple of small scenes before we get there.
Yeah.
So we cut to the Las Vegas FBI with the angry man, is what I'm recalling them, and Wilson, who is the agent that he shouted at. You remember the fantastic scene from last week. Wilson, this is what we do in the FBI.
Look, I'm just putting it out here. Las Vegas FBI branch might be my favourite thing in the show.
So Wilson comes in and he's like, hey, right, we got Mr. Jones and his wife Jane in. And it says they're walking down, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this to be a mistake so that you can yell at them. And it says they're walking down, he's like, yeah, they're okay, but the kids are a bit restless. He's like, kids?
Plural?
And then he opens the door, and Wilson's already like basically ran away.
He's
scared.
run off. He's like, oh shit.
He got scared and ran away, and he opens the door, and it's this family with like 5 kids or whatever it is, and these two these two people who are not, Cooper and Janie.
Not Dougie and Janie, is the point.
And he just like shuts the door, starts walking past with Wilson, and I'm like, I want a spin-off. I want a sitcom that's just these two.
Oh my god, I love it so much. Just that Wilson, it's just it's the best.
I almost hoped it kept going just so I could hear. Maybe he walks in another room that we don't see, and we're just still in the hall with a shot, and we just hear Wilson. This is not what we do in the FBI.
Oh, I can just imagine him yelling that like twice a week.
Oh dear. So that cuts to Mr. Todd, also in Vegas, and he gets his buddy Roger in, or his assistant Roger in, to find Anthony, because he's like, I've not heard from this Anthony bastard. He's meant to be killing that Dougie. And then we see a figure that comes in. You can tell it's a woman. It's feminine, and she shoots Mr. Todd in the head. It's a really good little splat, actually. Good head.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and then shoots Roger. Poor Roger, who's he's just working there. It's just his job. And
to go back to referring to Iron Fist, Roger is this show's Kyle.
He is. He's this show's Kyle. That's good. He just wanted vanilla ice cream. That's all he wanted in life.
Exactly. He didn't want to be mixed up in all this.
And so the assailant walks out, and the camera sort of pans with, and we're out in the sort of the hall where the elevators are.
Yeah.
And walking away, and I'm like, oh, this is probably Chantal, right? As she's getting close to the elevators. But then her phone rings, and she opens it, and it's like, and you hear her voice, oh, it is, and she's talking to Hutch, and it's like, okay, that's one down, one to go. And then, but again, they play it for comedy because we just hear this, this like moaning, like one of them's not dead, like one of them, probably Roger, because Todd was very clearly a headshot.
Right.
Poor Roger's like in pain. She's like, oh, wait a minute, I need to go and finish this, and she just storms back in. And the camera stays. I actually really like how this was shot. We
don't need to see it again.
Yeah. No, but I just mean like even the whole thing from the shooting itself to the way it conceals her identity. Then we find out who it is, and it just stays out there. Because I think what staying out there does is it sort of shows you just how routine this is for her, and it makes you feel like
it really kind of is like, nah, the job's done. Like, Todd was killed. That was the target. Roger's just this byproduct.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But again, it has this weird thing where she just casually walks back into the room. We just wait for her because it's normal. Like in her world, it's normal to do this.
Right, and she comes back out, picks up the phone, and she's like, "Sorry about that. I'm done now."
Yeah, get me fries and extra ketchup.
Yeah.
Go for a Wendy's again. I like Wednesdays. Wait, Wednesdays? Wendy's. So then we go to the police station. We have James and Freddie get taken into the cells. Put them in cell 8 was the phrase that was used. Again, like roommate in the lodge/Dutchman world.
Do you think it's interesting that, obviously 8 is the things here, and obviously episode 8 was the big one?
I never even made that connection, but
I don't know, because obviously it could be just coincidence. It's like, that just happened to be where that fell. But
we end on 18.
Yeah.
And again, I may not mean anything, but since you've mentioned it, why not? Why not? So yeah, puts them in the cells. They notice Nado, who's like still miming stuff. She's doing stuff with her hands, and she's like making noises, which the guy who's injured is also still making noises. I just noted down that Chad is in hell because he's just lying there screaming because the noise won't stop, which I thought was amusing. My only other point here, or 2 points to an extent, is James, of course, is still a good guy because he's concerned about the well-being of the people that Freddie punched, and he asks if they're okay, and we find out they're in intensive care. So obviously he's messed them up pretty bad. And then the other point I thought was kind of amusing, a little bit of irony, is that Bobby's putting like James in a jail cell when Bobby himself was in a jail cell a lot back in the original series. I thought, and they were kind of rivals for a while because Bobby was a shithead.
Yeah.
I mean, not that James was a great person, admittedly. He was out on his bike and
what a knob.
telling Maddie about all the love stories and such.
Shacking up with older women.
Actually, I was telling Donna, actually, yeah. Not Maddie. I was forgetting who he was monologuing to.
He monologued a lot, didn't he?
Because even when the show was good, there was that one monologue that he said to Donna where it was something like, "Oh, if we could just be together forever, I'd know that everything was okay." And there was just this really cheesy line, and I was like, "Oh, James, you're the worst." No, what am I saying? James was cool. He's always been cool. No.
I love that James is like, he had that accident. He's kind of simple now. It's like, yeah, we can't have a monologue anymore.
I mean, he's likeable all in the fact that he's trying to steal wives away from people. I mean, that is his one fault, really.
Well, that and that damn song. I'm counting that as a fault. Points against him.
It makes him a bad musician, not a bad person.
It's one and the same to me.
You just happen to be both. That doesn't mean that's connected.
Prick.
Yeah, if you hear the music at the end of the video, that's Connor's. So just, if you think it's bad, let him know he's a bad musician.
That's fair. I forgot I had that. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, there's proof at the end of the video.
There is.
So that was that scene. But I don't think it's a coincidence though that they're all in here. Like the fact that he's in and like Nado's in here, and like it feels like it's setting up something, because obviously we've got a single episode next week, we've got a double finale after that, 17, 18 on the same week, and we've got 2 weeks left, man. This is getting scary.
What are we gonna do after this? Wait for Mr. Robot, I guess.
Maybe on a Sunday night we can watch, I don't know, pick another old show to work through or something. Maybe.
Suggestions, folks.
I hear
what do you want to see?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's as heady as Twin Peaks, and I can't.
Not much is it?
No.
Not in the realm of TV.
But yeah, it feels like if these are the pawns in the story, it feels like they're all been set up in that jail cell. Like I think there's a purpose why they're all there.
And like you say, I think Freddie can do a bit of a jailbreak and get Nado out as well.
Yeah, I think he can punch that cell door open with that pile driver. I think he can.
I think so.
But I think it's notable. We have 5 characters in those jail cells now. They're stacking up. They're stacking up. So then we go to Chantel and Hutch. I can't speak tonight. And they're eating their Wendy's. They're in the car. And Hutch is actually doing a little bit of just a bit of truth, or well, maybe not truth, but he's been really cynical and saying, "Hey, the government pays people to kill everyone all the time. We're just doing the same thing."
Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah, he's talking about
we get to have nice burgers while we do it.
Yeah, he's complaining about the hypocrisy of like the country's morals and like the amendments and all that, and even the commandments. I think he brings up, "Thou shalt not kill." It should be, "Thou should kill."
Yeah.
So he's doing all this, and again, most of this is just little character stuff for me. I wasn't really picking up on a lot of I wasn't picking up a lot of hidden being. I mean, I think what Hutch is saying could maybe be a commentary in and of itself, but it's very on its face value.
Right, I think it is very much just a view of the situation of where America is as a country. You know, like I think it's very clear that it is just talking about kind of the mess, the hypocrisy, like you say. Just
it's very face value. There's not a lot to read. I mean, there's nothing to analyze because he just says it. There's no
right, which works coming from him because like these pair are very blunt characters that they are very face value. You get what you pay for.
Although perhaps you could read into the fact that they seem to be a fan of like this fast food chain. Like they're complaining about the government just like organizing things and the way the system works, but they're just kind of, when it comes to eating, they're just very much part of the system because they just like to eat.
They're quite happy with the franchises.
They are.
They don't really see the need to change things up. They're like, yeah, sure, let's just get on with it.
And going back to our earlier conversation about Norma, is this some weird commentary like, oh, this is the idiot bad people who like the franchises?
Yeah, it's like they're fine, they're likable enough, but they're not much going on with them. Whereas Norma, it's like you like Norma.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit cruel to say people who like franchises are these asshole hitmen, but. Well, I don't know. We do find out a couple of things though. She hates the little ketchup packets. When she wants more ketchup, she'd like a proper. I don't know.
I'm with her on this. Those little sachets are annoying as balls.
Oh, they're annoying. I give you. And she also likes dessert. She's happy that he brought her dessert. They seem very happy with each other. But they look outside because Hutch said it's a nice night, and lo and behold, power lines. Power lines, and again, it's this idea that something's moving across the power lines. They're coming towards Cooper. Just all these thoughts.
Yeah, they're underneath it. As things are converging.
Yeah. And then that's when she points out you can see Mars, and I thought that was notable because, like, again, going back to the whole idea that it's when things align that certain lodge entrances open up and ideas like that. So I think that's kind of part of that.
Yeah.
So then we get to our one and only scene with Cooper.
Yes.
This episode, which I have to admit, I do think it's ballsy that there's 2 episodes in a row now where there's not been a whole lot of him.
Right, and we're kind of getting to the end of the story now, and we've not had Cooper. I know a lot of people are getting frustrated at this. I've just been, talking around.
Noticing the sentiments online. There's a lot of people who are frustrated. Honestly, if the intent was always to just not have him for the last episodes, I'm okay with it, right?
That's it. I get it. I get the frustration as well, though. Like, you were promised, Twin Peaks is coming back. You wanted Cooper back. And you're not really getting that. So I can understand the frustration.
I can understand it, but at the same time, like, my view on it is kind of like, okay, that's what you thought you were getting. You jumped to assumptions based on what the old show was, but I don't think David Lynch and Mark Frost ever really had an intention of just doing the same thing again.
No, that's it. It's like people wanted this, so that's why they're frustrated, because that's what people expected, and it's what they thought they would get, and it's just not. I mean, even us for a long time, we were going, okay, we're a third through, no Cooper.
Yeah, we thought we'd get it, but I don't think our enjoyment was ever hinging on it happening.
Right. That's it. I think we were okay just going, if this is what the story is, then that's fine. We don't necessarily need it.
I think it's pretty clear at this point that the return in the title is very much the return of Cooper. Like that's the whole story. That's the whole point of the journey here, really. It's defeating the evil forces, but it's about Cooper coming back and maybe him being instrumental in defeating the evil forces. So we have Cooper, and I liked how it went from Chantel being happy about dessert to Cooper getting dessert. I thought it was just a nice
big slice of cake.
Yeah, a nice big chocolate fudge bit of cake. Just a nice little connective tissue in the edit.
It was a nice thematic link, wasn't
it? So Jenny's just happy to give him some cake, and she's all happy about her successful husband who's, in the past week brought a giant playset home for Sonny Jim, a new car for her, and lots of money.
Yeah, she was just like, all our dreams are coming true.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to what we've been saying every time he's been on screen for the last 5-6 episodes, is that everyone's lives are improving because Cooper's around, even if he's not all himself.
Right.
That's just how good he is. But he's eating the cake, and little thing, there's a couple of shakers on the table. One's like maybe a salt shaker, and one's like
salt and pepper, yeah.
Yeah, salt and pepper. And he sort of he looks over and he moves one away from the other. And I thought, interesting. Especially since I think that they kind of look like those bell-shaped things that are in the lodge.
Right, I think even beyond that, like even looking at what they represent, I think is a big significant moment.
Yeah, because he just does it because he feels he's doing it. There's nothing that prompts it.
It's the first time he's done something on his own initiative. Like, I mean, we were at a point where he couldn't even go to the toilet without him being guided to it and pointed to it. Whereas this is here, he just does something spontaneous thought, like just action.
Also, you could even argue that they look kind of like two peaks.
They do. That's what I had written down. I didn't think of the bells.
Little pair of twin peaks, but there you go. So then he starts doing something else of his own accord. He wants the TV on. And he doesn't quite get it right away. It takes him a couple of tries. I think it's the third try. He finally gets. He hits a button.
Yeah,
the
he
remote,
presses one button, then he presses two more,
and then he
finally hits the power button.
Then he finally gets the power button. Although, interestingly enough, a lot of TVs, and almost every TV I've ever had, actually will turn on if you just press one of the channel numbers.
Mine doesn't.
Yeah, it's quite common.
Yeah, I've got a few TVs in my home, and none of them do.
Oh, almost every TV I've ever had has done that.
Interesting.
Because and the reason why I thought of that is because I think I seen it recently on something else where someone pressed the channel number to turn it on, and I went, "Oh, that's accurate." Because I
I know you can, but I think one of my old TVs has done it. But none of the ones that I've got 3 TVs at the moment and in the house, and none of them do that.
I've got 4.
Yeah, but
it was a joke. Let it go. It was
screw you.
It was a stupid little joke, right?
Screw you.
Duh. I don't think I do actually. I think it's 3. But still.
Ha.
We're equal. You think it's embarrassing that I'm equal to you?
You're equal with a ginger.
Okay, so he gets the TV on, and did you recognise the film playing?
I didn't recognise the film off the top of my head. No.
Sunset Boulevard is the movie.
I've seen that as well.
I have seen it as well. I did recognise the movie. I mean, I didn't remember the dialogue in the scene or anything like that. I just kind of vaguely was like, oh, right. It was because she says Mr. DeMille to the guy. I'm like, okay, it's Sunset Boulevard. I've seen this as she's leaving. And what I didn't remember, though, from memory, was one of the character names.
Before you just get to that, because this is about, they're talking about, getting the old team together again.
I noted this down as well, yeah. The lines of dialogue were, where am I? Yeah. Everything will be fine. The old team together. Again, the old team together again. Nothing can stop us, and it's like, oh, who's the team? We're getting together.
That's it, isn't it? It's like once they're all together, that's it. They win.
Yeah. So of course, the character says, "Get me Gordon Cole," and it's funny actually because I actually did remember, later thinking about it, that Lynch in the past has like sort of talked about how a lot of the characters are named after other characters in like movies and stuff that he likes, growing up and so on and so forth.
Why not?
Makes a lot of sense. And I think there's probably a good well of analysis to go if you want to go digging into like, okay, who's named after who, and does that thematically link up with who? Like, right. Lynch is this sort of crazy man who would do it to that extent.
Alternatively, I also think he's so crazy that he might just go, no, I like that character. That name will do. Just to throw people off.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. I did see someone pointed it online though, a famous character named Judy.
Oh?
From a movie. Have you seen Vertigo?
No.
Well, interestingly, Judy is one of 2 characters played by the same actress in that movie.
Interesting.
Well, kind of. I don't want to spoil the movie. But let's just say the whole idea of like 2 sides to the same person is in that film, right? The idea of duality.
No, I get it. I see what you're getting at.
And one name is Judy. Read into that.
Interesting. Yes.
How you will.
But obviously, to get back to this, Cooper reacts when he hears that name.
Oh, he reacts big time. It's almost... He's still kind of childlike. It's like a kid who's just heard like he's getting something nice for Christmas or something like that. Like he's sort of like, and he goes to turn it off, but he reacts strongly. He hears that name and it means something to him.
Yeah, and he pauses it.
And then he looks over at the outlet, and we hear the electrical buzzing coming in.
The hum, yeah.
The hum, the scratching. And it gets louder and louder as he goes over to it, and he's getting closer, and he's got a fork in his hand. And I was actually kind of giggling to myself because as he get out the seat, I'm like, he's still got a fork in his hand. And of course, it actually becomes relevant because he gets close to the outlet, and he starts trying to stick the fork in it, and I'm like, oh god, Cooper, what are you doing? And then he's like, oh wait, I'll turn it around. He's like, okay, he's problem solving, which I'm proud of him that he problem solved to stick the other end in, but this is not going to go well. The noise is getting louder. He sticks it in, and everything flashes. And again, obviously electrical flashing is a big thing in this world. And obviously he's causing it. The lights go out, goes dark, Janie screams, and even Sonny Jim from like bed's like, Mom, what's going on? What's happening? And that's all we get.
Do you know what I thought was really interesting? Mm-hmm. Cooper, like, he doesn't react for a long time. Like, he's just holding it in there. Like, we can see the electricity going around the end of the fork. Like, it shows you that. And he's just kind of holding it. He looks okay. And then he doesn't react until Janie screams. And he's like, oh, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's like he's either trying to go back in because he vaguely remembers coming from there, or...
He's trying to, like, a jump start.
Or well, yeah, maybe. That would maybe imply that he knows there's more to learn.
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe a little too conscious for him, but it's like he, like, wait a minute, something to do with those outlets. Like, because he's noticed them before. Like, remember when we were sitting in the police station and he noticed them as well? It's like, wait, there's something about this that relates to my past, and it's like he's trying to find out. So maybe the fork itself isn't that noteworthy beyond it's just him trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I just found it interesting that he didn't seem to be that shocked by the electricity. Like, it didn't seem to really be affecting him.
I think he was shaking a little bit, to be fair.
Okay.
His facial expression maybe wasn't reacting much to it, but I think it was affecting his body.
All right, fair enough.
I'd have to. Now that you've put doubt in my head, though, I'd have to go back and check to be
Sorry,
sure.
you're gonna go and do that later, I'm sure.
Probably. So that's the only Cooper we get. And it's funny, like, if the name Gordon Cole has that reaction, what happens if someone calls him Cooper? Like, what if someone just walks up to him and says, "Hey, Dale"?
Right, is that kind of what snaps him back to normal almost? Like the idea of his names have power.
Yeah, like, is it that simple? Does someone just have to address him as Cooper?
Interesting.
And we're almost at the point now where people are starting to understand that, like, the FBI, no, they're looking for someone named Dougie in there. The police had his fingerprints. They threw it out because they're a bunch of idiots, but, like, they found stuff out.
Is it a case of, like when the Vegas FBI finally find him, when Wilson does his damn job, and they get him in and they go, you want a connection with Dale Cooper, well, whatever they say about the case, but they mention his name. Is that when things start chugging along for him?
God damn it, Wilson!
This could be all over if Wilson just did his job.
Could be. Could already be done, but not.
A piece of shit.
Here we are. Damn it, Wilson! That's not what you do in the FBI. Don't make mistakes. So, let me go to the log lady, and this was a sweet, if hard watch, this section of the show, because obviously the actress passed away before I think they even finished filming it, and she was close. Clearly, she's all of her scenes are sitting down. She's got, like, apparatus in, like, she's got the breather in and all that, and it's funny because I know just from sort of, like, tangential knowledge that she was a big fan of her character. Like, she loved doing Twin Peaks, and she was a big fan of
being the kooky little love lady.
Yeah, and, like, apparently she was, like, a proponent of, like, always asking Lynch to do more. Like, she wanted to come back.
Oh, that's nice.
So, I think, that's why I doubt she took convincing to do this, even though she was so ill.
She was just like, please, let me do it.
Yeah, she wanted to do it.
Lynch was probably like, are you sure you're well enough for this? Yeah. And she's like, I'm doing it, damn it.
Which is probably what, they lately just filmed this in her house. Like, they probably just dressed her house.
They probably went to her.
Yeah. And filmed it. And
it's why it's always on the phone. It's like, no, we're coming to you. We're keeping this easy for you.
And that's okay, because, I mean, certainly in the show, the character's supposed to also be close to death, so at least, like, they made it work within the story.
They made it, yeah.
It would be another thing if they said, oh no, between scenes she's doing gymnastics, but only in the scenes you see her and she's on the phone like this.
Yeah.
But so she phones Hawk once again for the third time in the season. So
just before we get to the conversation, I thought it was really interesting. Lucy, patched him through. And she goes, "It's on line 1," but she doesn't say that's the one that's blinking to Hawk. No, obviously she says it a lot, especially especially for Truman. But to Hawk, it's just like, that's line 1, and let you get on with it.
I think she did before this season, though.
She might have done.
Like the last time she phoned, I feel like she might have said the one that's blinking, and maybe the whole idea that she didn't say that is maybe more of a weird omen about what the call was about, rather than that she trusts Hawk to know what button to press.
But immediately before the conversation even started, I was on edge because it was like, Lucy didn't say it's the one that's blinking. this is different.
It's different. Because I'd almost argue it's not something to, like, a part of the case that's to do with the lodge, but it is. Like, she says something that's relevant to that, so it can't just be that. Not that Lucy would know that. I'm just saying, like, subconsciously this would be a thing she would say or not say. So she quite quickly says that she's dying, and I immediately I felt really bad because I knew the actress was literally dying.
Yeah.
When they filmed
That's
this
it. It's like when they were filming it, she knew that was real for her as well as the character.
Yeah, so it really hits hard. It hurts hard in a way that I was not prepared for in this scene. And I think maybe that's why because they could have probably done that really happy Ed Norma thing like 5 episodes ago if they wanted to, but they saved it for this one, and I think it's to counterbalance this. I think you start us with that really happy scene, and then you
have loss and love in the same one.
Yeah. So, yeah, and she talks about how this, this Hawk.
I wrote the whole thing.
You wrote the whole thing. Well, you can fill in any bits that you think I've missed that are interesting. But she talks about how Hawk, that death's a change, not the end. And I know Lynch is pretty spiritual, and it kind of makes sense given all the shit that he writes about, like in this, and thoughts of it going elsewhere. But she says there's some fear in letting go.
Yeah, even though she's like, no, it's not the end. It's just change. But people are scared of change. Even just regular change. People don't like it as a rule.
So I did miss out a couple of setup lines, but I got to the meat here, the meat and potatoes, the warning. Because she talks about, when we used to talk in person and, remember all those things.
I did think it was interesting because she says she can't say, what it is. She says, remember what I told you. She can't say it over the phone, but you know what it is. It's what we spoke about in person. So immediately to us, it's like, okay, this isn't something we know. We haven't heard this information because we've only seen them interact on the phone.
Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. But the way I took it, like my first thought with it was that, well, if the lodge's spirits and stuff use electricity and they use phone lines and stuff, it's not safe. That's why it's usually that's why it was in person.
Who can hear it? Well, yeah. And she was always off the grid, and she lived in a cabin.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
And she says, watch for that one. Watch for the one under the moon on Blue Pine Mountain.
Yeah, Blue Pine Mountain.
Blue Pine Mountain. And do you recall the map? Hawk's map.
Yeah.
Do you know what was under the moon in the map?
I don't recall it that specifically, no.
A certain symbol with little antennas.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Very interesting. So she's warning of this big bad villain that Hawk himself knew about because he said, "Oh, you don't want to know about that one." He was talking to Truman. He's like, "No, you don't want to know about that."
Did he know about it because it was something he knew anyway? His own knowledge, or did he learn it from her?
He may have learned it from her.
Like there's these conversations that they've had that we've not seen. Is that how he's learned?
And how long has it been? Like, because this implies it was maybe a while ago that she was like out and about and she was like talking to people in person.
Right.
So, I think it might be like this is something that he knows from her, perhaps. And even if it isn't, it still works. But again, it's this build, this big bad, this ultimate evil that we're building to all season.
Yeah.
So, very good. And then she says something very interesting, given all the stuff we've seen. My log is turning to gold.
Yes, and I can't help but think of a certain couple of shovels.
My mind never went to the shovels.
I'm just saying.
My mind went to Lodge Creations becoming gold balls when their time is done. The idea that her log is actually, if it is giving her messages from beyond, from say the White Lodge. And keep in mind, didn't her husband die in a fire? We've got the fireman.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I don't know, connections there. As her husband becomes something like Major Briggs, like possibly Philip Jeffries, and that's why he's communicating through the log. He left the log so he could talk to her.
Yeah.
Or he put the log there so he could talk to her.
But like I say, turning to gold is the idea that the soul is being taken. Then it's becoming, it's got its other form and it's going somewhere else. And
because she's no longer going to be there, so it doesn't need to be there anymore. It's like its purpose is done because she's not around to hear it. So
right, and that's how she knows that she's dying, because it's like, no, if this is going, it's only going because I am.
Yeah. So no. So no, it's the music that's playing. Admittedly, not quite yet. It's when Hawk tells them the news. But the music that plays is the same music that played when the boy died. Got hit with the truck. Same sad music.
Yeah.
Very good music as well. But so that seems to very much be the the death theme of the season.
Yeah, the nice death theme.
Well, yeah, well, sure, yeah, not the brutal murder death. Well, I
Right.
mean, the boy was brutally murdered, but not in that same way. So Hawk. Actually, even before I get to that, again, we talked about how Ed, like after this, like, because she says goodbye on the phone and good night, and he says good night and hangs up the phone, and then he just sits there and says goodbye, Margaret, and it's very soft, and then there's some shots of the trees
She did say before that the wind is. I'm not sure if I've written down moving or meaning.
moaning.
Moaning. There you go. Can't read my writing.
The wind was moaning because I actually noticed that before she said it. That the wind was starting to like pick up, like it was.
Yeah. Like this is the end.
Like again, like like her life going, like, or even the log's life going, maybe is like a strong enough force that it's affecting the atmosphere around it, and it's like
The,
causing.
the wind's here to whisk it off to wherever next.
Very good.
There you go. But like I say, moaning implies, like it's sad. It's like, like it's
Yeah.
even the wind is like mourning this.
The idea that it's elemental, that even just the earth around it is affected by the change of life, the loss of it.
Right.
So he calls the others into the boardroom. There's some shots of trees before we get there, though, and we have Lucy and Andy come in, and they're just like, "Oh, Hawk called us in here for something." And Hawk steps out of the darkness. He comes out like this dark, there's a door. It wasn't just hiding in the corner, but it appears as if he's just walking out of darkness to give bad news, and explains that she's died. But he uses her name, and then Lucy says, "The log lady's dead." And honestly, I think the beautiful thing about this scene and them all finding out, because there's a lot of nice touches. There's the sheriff taking off his hat. There's Hawk putting his head down at the end, which then fades into again more shots of the trees and the idea that this is the world and whatnot. But Lucy finding out and seeing Lucy's genuine like distress at the news is actually probably the most touching thing they could have done to really. Because again, Lucy and Andy are like the really innocent characters who are they're simple, they're not complicated, they don't have malicious intent. They are pure. That was the word you used, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Pure. So seeing Lucy get upset that the log lady's died is like, it was the fitting cap on. Well, not quite the cap. It was one little more moment, but it was, I think, the best way to really just sell the sadness of it. That even
I think
she's hit by it.
When it comes from any emotion that comes from Andy and Lucy, just feels more genuine.
Yeah.
Because they're very open with their emotions. They never try and hide how they're feeling. So when you see her sadness, you just right, that's it. That's real.
Especially since Lucy's someone who usually talks a lot, so her being stunned to silence, is also a kind of a big thing. And it's kind of like I don't mean to compare her to like an animal, but it's kind of like how when you have a pet, and normally your pets don't really react to anything that's going on, but sometimes when you're really sad, it's like they can tell. And even they know something's wrong or something's bad.
I'm just going to say, if you have pets other than cats, they do react. It's just cats are evil and don't give a shit.
The cats do react. That's the point I'm making. Is that eventually?
No. Only when it's bad enough. Not all the time.
I was trying to make a nice, good point, and
I want to make a dig at cats.
And you're just blurring it up because you want to have your anti-cat agenda all over this show, and I'm not having it. So shut your goddamn
Damn right,
mouth.
I've got an agenda.
So no, really, really sad. Music plays, and then it fades out from Hawk as it goes over the trees. Again, very haunting, very beautiful. It goes back to her house, the log lady's house or cabin, and you just see the light go out.
It's a really touching moment, isn't it?
And it fades to black. It was like it really is. It's this big thing. It's kind of like Lynch is saying, like, she was an important part of this, and we're going to give her this great big send off. And she, she has the final bits of advice that are going to be really important, and she was important to this, so it affects everyone. It affects. And it's all Truman, not quite, but he's kind of there as a conduit for Harry. So, but it's all original characters otherwise that are in that scene that all react to it.
And it's the idea, she was the light in the woods. But then it's gone, and only the darkness is left.
Yeah, she was the one last like sort of outpost in the woods. Everything else is being corrupted. Because even in the second season or the first season, whatever it is, they're when Cooper and Harry and all that are looking through the woods to like find this place,
Yeah.
and they come across her cabin first, and like she's like this, last place of refuge before they go deeper into the darkness.
I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I want to liken this to Lord of the Rings. Like Elrond's place is the last home in before you go out into the wilds. Is the point there? And it's like that one last refuge, and it's this nice place just on the edges of all the darkness.
Yeah, but not boring in this case.
Shut up.
All right, so we then go to an Audrey Charlie scene, and again she can't leave the house. They're standing at the front door, and she's not got her coat on. And the whole conversation is basically around her not putting her coat on, and Charlie keeps threatening to take his coat off if she doesn't put hers on so they can go.
Key word I found interesting. He goes, "We're standing here on the threshold."
I also noted down that single word. I said threshold.
Yeah. Because obviously, that's right. People sometimes refer to that as the threat, but I think it's an uncommon way of referring to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. In any other context, I wouldn't even bat an eyelid. But given that we're having all this speculation about Audrey's position, is she in a coma? Is she in maybe even a lodge-like place? Is she in, this or that, or is she just does have some sort of weird new agoraphobia where she doesn't want to leave the house? It's interesting, and I did note that down, and obviously, she says to him, I never saw the way you are now, who you've changed into, So, and she says, "Who are you, Charlie?" And I thought that was a very interesting line, because obviously the first thing we said when we saw Audrey with this guy, we're like, "Who's this asshole?"
Right.
And so her saying that also makes a big thing, and then eventually he does get frustrated because because every time he says, "Let's put your coat on, let's leave, put your coat on," she always then turns it into an argument about him being an asshole, and it stops them from moving.
Right, and also at the start of this, she's kind of forgotten that she's meant to be putting a coat on as well. Again, this idea that she doesn't, she can't quite do it because she just forgets.
Yeah, whether it's because, as we theorised last week, it's about mentioning Billy and everything related to Billy, results in some sort of weirdness like this. Even though with Audrey it does feel specific and it's her tears got a problem of some kind. Because then eventually he does okay, right, I'm taking my coat off, that's it, we're done. And he goes and sits down, and that's when she runs in screaming and grabs his neck and chokes him. And just tells him, how much I hate you. I hate you. I've also written in all caps, attack. Just
yeah.
Thought that was a tidbit you might like. Which takes us to the roadhouse for the final scene.
Yep.
And we have a band on stage who are singing. Interesting, just the second time around in particular, because on my second watch I always put on the subtitles to catch any maybe little lines that I missed or things like that.
Fair enough.
The lyrics to the song, there was a lot of stuff in there about souls and gods and devils. And then one line in particular was about my soul is in control.
Interesting.
Yeah,
very thematically relevant.
Yeah. So there's a girl sitting in one of the booths, and she's on her own, and she's kind of she's kind of timid. She's sitting all kind of hunched up, shoulders are sort of tight together, and you get it's just you're sort of this timid little person. And these two, I'll call them bakers.
I refer to them as bikers in my notes.
Because actually, at first I was like, "Oh, is this going to be? Are they going to start assaulting her?" Not so far in front of him, but just sit down and force her to sit with them and start being abusive, kind of like we've seen.
We've seen already, yeah.
But instead, it's not. They just want the seat. I mean, it's still a bit cruel, but it's not.
I did know that she said she's waiting for someone.
She did say she was waiting for someone, and they just basically just lift her off the seat and sit her on the floor and then sit down. It's kind of a shame.
It's not nice, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
Oh no!
When you see them come up, you're expecting the worst, and they just pick her up and move her. It's obviously it's wrong, but it's not awful.
It's cruel, but it's not evil.
Right.
So she's left sitting on the floor, and the song keeps playing, and she slowly starts to become mesmerised and sort of staring ahead, and then she starts crawling ahead and into the dance floor, and she's crawling between people's legs, and I was starting to squirm because your fingers, oh my god, woman, your fingers going to get crushed, stop it. And she's just crawling through the people, and then eventually it keeps building up, the cuts become quicker, and eventually she screams in fear, she's surrounded, like she's in an abyss and she's surrounded. And I don't think she's just scared of the people because she's been in there herself. I think this has a greater meaning, and obviously it flickers. It goes black, and Then the credit comes up, because obviously we're accustomed now to the credits starting over the band, right?
Right.
And it just plays out from there. It cuts to black after she screams. It's like it flickers and it goes to black. Then it says starring Kel MacLachlan. Barely in this episode, but well, actually, a doppelcoup as well. So to be fair, so fair enough. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And then after like, the first credit, then it fades up and it's the motel again inside
Yeah,
the
the
lodge, or the Dutchman, or
Courtyard.
yeah, the courtyard of this mall, not mall, motel.
Motel.
And the credits play from there. And the reason why I'm still talking about this, I'm not just saying, "Oh, that's us done," is because did you stay till the end?
I didn't stay to the very end this time, no. For like one of the few times I didn't, because we were running late, I was like, I need to get back and talk about this.
Did you see the shot change?
No. Damn it.
Oh,
The one time I didn't watch to the end of the credits.
Oh, interesting. Well, there's 2 points to make then. I'll say the touching one first. The Log Lady's character gets a dedication at the end. Now, the actress already got a dedication in the first episode,
Yeah.
at the start of the season, but the character got one at the end of this. And I wonder if that's because she loved her character so much, Lynch,
Yeah.
It seems a bit weird, but I think this is the sort of thing where Lynch, knowing her personally, would have known that she would have liked that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's what it is. So, I'm not going to read into it too much beyond it. It's probably just a sweet thing that he wanted to do because
I agree.
because of, who she was and him knowing her. But the shot changes just as it's getting to the end of the credits. So it's the same location. It's like it's turning to the other side or whatever. And there's like an archway kind of thing. It's almost like it's a hall that's in under a roof kind of thing. It's like an opening that maybe cars drive through or something, I don't know. But it's all dark and shadowy, right? And then there's the rest of the motel on either side. And it's quite a distant shot. You can see the ground leading up to it as well. And
Right.
the woman that was there before, that unlocked the door,
Yeah.
is just standing in that dark sort of opening, just staring.
Interesting.
It's creepy as shit.
You know how we were saying, maybe the Jumping Man was kind of a gatekeeper.
Maybe this is a gatekeeper.
Maybe this is, the idea that she unlocked the door. She gave him permission to go in, so to speak. She's standing at the gate, literally here.
It's interesting. I feel like we say it's interesting a lot in this. I think I've said it like 20 times in the last 90 minutes. But obviously, like one of my thoughts was like, could that be Judy? But I thought that's really uninteresting if it's literally just the person he met like right before he went through the door.
Yeah,
like,
that's too easy.
That's too easy and boring. But I do think Judy's someone who we've met before. Even if it's like, you know how Cooper's Doogie now?
Yeah.
Is it someone else who became Judy?
Interesting.
Kind of
That reminds me, when the woman was crawling in the roadhouse. Very, very similar to Dougie crawling towards the sockets.
And then screaming because the shock.
Yeah. Obviously, we've talked about people kind of being conduits for him already.
Yeah, screaming like Janie E. Yeah. And even the way she is before, like she says she's waiting for someone, so she still speaks, but it's still very, she's not very emotive. She's very kind of,
Like, when they lift her onto the floor, she kind of just sits there for a good minute or so, whatever it is.
Yeah, she doesn't resist. She just kind of goes with it. Yeah.
She's kind of just empty.
It's
almost.
like someone moving Dougie like around and whatnot. Yeah. That's a very good point. Very similar. I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't think of that as I was watching it. The crawling was very similar. But you're right.
Yeah.
It is. Oh my.
Yeah.
We have 2 weeks left, 3 hours of it, 1 hour again next week, and then a final 2 hours after that. Oh boy.
Not enough.
It's kind of, I'm so, like, because obviously there's times where it feels kind of normal for a while, but then there'll be that one episode that's really balls out there because Lynch goes full Lynch. Like, I don't know what to expect from this finale in a couple of weeks. I really don't.
I think next week might be more of a downbeat comparatively.
Maybe. I could see next week's kind of... I mean, it depends if he knew the last 2 were going to air as a double, depending if he builds up to it at the end of next week. But
yeah.
I'll
have to wait and see.
There's so much in play.
There really is. And do you know what? Like, I think the acting's been phenomenal. But just on the point of Kel MacLachlan, then, you even said, starring come out, and you were like, not really. And then you remembered that he was Doppelganger. Like, that's how good a job he's doing. You forgot he was both of them.
Yeah, no, this is a very fair point. And even, like, I think, like, Hawk and Ed both had good little moments in this one for acting, where they both got to emote a little bit more than they usually do.
Because both of them are usually very stoic, They kind of just stand there, but they both had that had their moments of softness this time.
I want to point out that Ed and Norma having happiness is like both of them are true to themselves. Like her giving up the franchise because she wants to be true to herself. He was true to himself and was a good person all this time. And because I think it's a good point to make as well that she was already giving up the business before she talked to Ed about anything. Like she was already like made this choice on her own to like be true to herself before. It wasn't like she then turned around and dumped the other guy because Ed said he was available.
We assume just on the off chance that he was there to talk about something else and she changed her mind. You know, like maybe she'd been thinking about it but she hadn't committed until that moment.
Oh, I don't think so. Oh,
I mean, I think it's unlikely.
That Marcus, I think it's sweet that she'd already made that choice on her own, and then it was like this, you know, this destiny that both of them became free
on the same time.
Yeah, but both in their own ways at the same time. I think is really sweet, and I won't hear anything else. So
just putting those seeds of doubt in your head just to ruin it for you a little bit.
I'll put more in your head. So that has been episode 15 of Twin Peaks. So, of course, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Give us thoughts and theories, particularly about the jumping man and, you know, Sarah Palmer's face being in part of that flashing image. Very interesting.
Stop saying interesting.
Do you know what? It's the wrong word as well. Fascinating is the word I should be using. Because it's fascinating. It's not interesting, it's fascinating.
Right. It is. Intriguing.
Fascinating is, I'd say, a step above intriguing. You're intrigued before you're fascinated.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're curious.
I'm intrigued about the woman unlocking the door, but I'm fascinated about the jumping man.
Sure. You're curious, then you're intrigued, then you're fascinated.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Sounds about right.
But yeah, let us know what you think of the episode, comments and theories, all that stuff. Like, subscribe, get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there, but otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?